Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with my blind reaction to episode 1 of Tangled, the series. This is a donation reward for Sweet Venom and is another one of our donation rewards for this, donation reward appreciation week. I'm saying donation reward a lot. You're going to have to get used to that. That's going to be happening all this week. So for those who somehow don't know, yes, this week we are doing a donation reward appreciation week special on the channel where everything we're reacting to are rewards from various donators. What this means is, if you are new to the channel or whatnot, is that we have a system on the channel where if you donate, you get to choose a reward for me to react to. You can donate any amount, it doesn't matter how much it is, but every donation gets a reward, except during a double reward month where you get 2 rewards for each donation. The next double reward month, by the way, is in September. Yeah, you get a reward, and it can be anything as long as I haven't seen it before. It can be a movie, a series, something on YouTube, doesn't really matter. But there are a lot of series rewards that have been on the back burner for a while. Because my scheduled shows that I react to on the regular are limited. I can only get to so many things per week. And so because of that, I have certain slots. And right now I only have 2 slots that are for donation reward shows. Movies, I get to 2 movies every week. That's easy to do. But for shows, I can only do usually up to 2 shows at a time. And shows last a lot longer. I'm going through those for weeks and weeks and weeks. So a lot of the shows that have been on my list, I have not been able to get to. And that's left a lot of people waiting. That's left a lot of people waiting for me to get to these. And they've probably been upset, at least a little bit, that I haven't gotten to their stuff yet. So that is what this donation reward appreciation week aims to at least start to resolve. We are going through 10 different shows during this week that I have not reacted to before. They are brand new, and they are shows that we are doing the first episode of. They are all donation rewards and come from a bunch of different people. And we will be doing the first episode and then coming back to them at a later time, because I can't just put everything into my ongoing schedule right now. I don't have the time and energy to do that. But this week is to at least start to get to them, to at least do the first episode of a bunch of these. So I can tell you all, I can tell all the donators and everything, I'm getting to them. They will be coming, I will be getting back to them. Dog might start barking because the mail person is here. Sorry for that terrible transition, but just warning. There it is. But yeah, this is just to let everyone know I do still have this all on my list. We are going to be getting to them. And here's a preview, basically. It allows it as well, so it's just not been as long anymore. It's like it's been a long time for some of these. And I feel really bad about making people wait for so long. Even if I can't help it, really. So we're getting to these. We're at least going to start them. Give me a taste of what I'm in store for in the future. And it's going to switch around kind of the order of which I get to them in the future. Because when a slot opens up, I usually just go with something kind of chosen on the spot. I don't necessarily have an order all the time. So this will help me order them around. It's like, oh, I want to get to this one earlier than this one. I want to, this one the first episode ended up being really good. I want to get to this one quicker because I want to continue it quicker. This will help me figure that out. And you don't have to worry about any of these being dropped, because unless one of these has a first episode that just is really bad and actively turns me away from the series completely, these will all be continued. This isn't a first impression thing. That's a completely different thing on the channel. That is a completely different system we have. If you're new to the channel and don't know what a first impression is, there's multiple examples on the channel, but you could also just ask me in the comments. I'll explain there, where I'm not wasting up too much more video time than I already am right now. But yeah, so all of these shows will be continued in the future again, unless the first episode does really turn me away that much, which is extremely rare. These are donation rewards. They are not first impressions. They are ones that were donated for. So I am obviously going to give them much more leeway, much more of a chance than I would for something like first impressions. So that being said, let's actually talk about what we're getting into today. So, like I said, this is from Sweet Venom and is for Tangled, the series. This is a series based off of the Disney movie Tangled, and I am very conflicted going into this. And the reason for that is because I actually really love Tangled. It's a fantastic Disney movie, but the problem is it has a conclusive ending. It doesn't need anything more. It's like it's one of those movies that actively rejects the idea of needing a sequel. It resolves everything it needs to resolve. So having a sequel, even if the sequel is a series rather than a movie, makes no sense. There's also admittedly a few things I do know about this series. One of which, I don't know if it happens in this first episode or not. I don't know when it happens. I'm going to not say what it is just in case anyone is watching this and also doesn't know. Maybe you're watching this blind along with me. I don't know, so I'm not going to spoil it. But there is something that happens that actively pisses me off because it undermines the movie. It undermines the entire point of the movie and a big scene in the movie, and it just bothers the ever-loving shit out of me. And mind you, I don't know how it's executed in this. It might actually be executed in a satisfying way. I don't know, but I'm just explaining that I'm going into this irritated by that because just from the perspective of it happening, it is not something that should happen, and I feel like it's done specifically for greed. For toy sales, for making money. It's a greed thing. But again, I don't know how it's actually executed. I do know that this series is really popular, though. It's actually really popular. Which is surprising because most Disney follow-up shows typically aren't. They don't do that well. This is probably one of the most successful, if not the most successful, that I know of at least. I've heard people like praising this show all the time. And yeah, again, I know a couple things about it. Because again, I've heard people talking about this, and I was never invested in watching it. I was never like, it was never a big deal for me. But here we are. Here we are. Hopefully I end up loving it though. Hopefully it does live up to the hype. Hopefully things do turn out well. That is what I want. Like, as much as I have mixed feelings going into it, I want to be proven wrong. I want to love this. I want what happens that I'm worried about to actually be done in a satisfying way to where it's not an issue for me anymore. That is the best case scenario. That is what I want. But I don't know if it's what I'm going to get. We'll have to see. We will have to see. I've seen a couple clips of the animation, and it actually does look really well animated. The art style, obviously being very different than the 3D of the movie, is it's very different, but it's not bad. It's just, it's going to take some getting used to, I feel. I also don't know if the same voice actors return from the movie. I just genuinely don't know. If so, that's a good thing. that would be great, because otherwise I'm going to have to get used to new voices for these characters too. As long as their personalities are the same, though, new voices won't bother me as much. As long as their personalities and characters are largely the same. I've gotten a lot more used to, in recent years, voices changing, especially after G5 of My Little Pony, with the voices changing from the movie to the series and everything. So yeah, I think I'll be okay with that as long as the characters are largely the same, which hopefully they should be. And also, I just saw Tangled again, with a reaction, mind you, so it was cut up a bit. But I did just see it again recently. Like, pretty recently, too. Like, maybe only a couple weeks ago, at most. So, it is pretty fresh in my mind what happened in the movie. Maybe not every single detail, but it's pretty fresh in my mind. So, this is actually a really good time to get to this. That just worked out extremely well. I really, really, really hope I like this. Because I'm going to be super fucking disappointed if this ends up, like, disappointing me. After how much I like the movie and how hyped up this series is. But let's find out, let's give it a chance, and just go for it. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, there are certain aspects of this that are good, and certain aspects that I just can't I'm sure, or what did I just say? That I can't say I'm sure about right now. Why did I put a B in there? That confused the shit out of me. I confused myself. There are certain aspects about this that are good. There's certain aspects that I can't say I'm convinced of yet. Let's put it that way. And it's just, I feel like it comes down to what the truth of these, I guess, black spikes or whatever, these black rocks that restored her hair are and gave it, I guess, new powers based on what we saw. Because, yeah, that was my big issue. The entire point of her cutting off her hair, sacrificing the magic and everything to save Eugene and all in the movie being undermined is a big red flag for me. And this episode, while it explains that these black stones are apparently what caused it to happen, we still don't know why or anything, and it doesn't really take away from the fact that it does feel like it undermines the entire point of Rapunzel cutting her hair off and all. It feels like this was done at the moment until anything can be found out and everything. Even after this first episode, it still feels like it was done purely for money, just to sell more shit and all. It's like, you can't have a Rapunzel series without having her have the long hair. It's like, yes, you could. In fact, it would have been better if you did. For multiple reasons. Now, once we find out the truth of everything, could that change things? Sure. It definitely could. But as of now, I really haven't been convinced otherwise on that view. And I won't lie that does bother me a lot. So it seems like that is the main point of the plot right now. Like, that is what it's focusing on, just finding out why these black stones restored her hair. Um, and we got some new characters in this. But before we get to that, yeah, if it wasn't clear by my reaction to his voice, I didn't say it, but yes, I realized that was Clancy Brown as the king. I don't think he spoke in the movie, so really he could have been voiced by anyone here and it would have worked fine. But yeah, I did notice very clearly. I don't think I recognize the mom at all, but I did look it up, and the voice cast from the movie is returning. It is the same voices for Rapunzel and for Finn and everyone. Mother Gothel, I believe, is the same voice as well. Even though she was just shown through a nightmare here, but still. Um, so yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. We also have two new characters that are introduced in this episode, outside of like some minor just characters in the bar and everything. We have Cassandra, who seems to be Rapunzel's maid, servant. I don't know what her actual position is, but she's like she serves Rapunzel. She serves the princess. She definitely has a warrior aspect to her, even though that's clearly not part of her job. But yeah, she's honestly kind of a bitch, if I'm being honest. I know that sounds harsh, and considering we've only watched one episode, it's like it's way too early to properly judge, and I acknowledge that. But she's kind of an asshole, especially towards Eugene. It's like, why is she so needlessly like aggressive towards him? And the entire thing about not trusting him, it's like she's going on this entire tirade in the episode, like, I don't trust him, and if you trust him and I don't trust him, I don't trust you, and it's like just this entire thing or whatever. I don't remember exactly what she said, but it's like that's the thing. Because she doesn't trust him, that automatically means she's not trusting Rapunzel. And it's just like that seems kind of sketchy if you're supposed to be like her friend or something. It's like, how can you're just gonna just openly admit that you don't trust in your friend? Like, you don't trust that her instincts on Eugene are okay? Why? Just because Eugene used to be a criminal, a thief? It's like, there's absolutely no reason for her to be hating on him this much. She's actively rude and aggressively just mean-spirited towards everyone, even Rapunzel. Not to mention, she brought Rapunzel out of Corona mysteriously in the middle of the night, showed her these black rocks that just happened to grow her hair back. Like, I'm not the only one who finds that fucking suspicious, am I? I'm not the only one suspecting the shit out of her, am I? Like, that just seems blatant. Like, almost too blatant. You know what I mean? It almost seems like it's too easy. Like, it's pointing us in the direction that we're supposed to suspect her. Like, everything is basically telling us with this first episode that Cassandra's a bad guy. And that she's using Rapunzel. But at the same time, it's like, it seems too obvious. Like, are they really going to take that route? While just blatantly telling us in episode 1 that that's the case? I kind of hope they surprise us and don't do that. Because I feel like that would just be, like, not very well hidden at all. It's like if you're gonna do a bad guy, especially if it's gonna try to be a surprise bad guy, you have to try and make it a surprise. It's so in your face about it in this episode. Absolutely nothing about her is trustworthy. Meanwhile, you have Varian, this other new character, this alchemist kid, who, on the other hand, seems a little too trustworthy. He seems like he's too good of a guy. His inventions blowing up, being an accident and everything. He's just trying to bring warm running water, basically creating water heaters and shit, to his village and all. Like, he has this good heart and he's so nice and happy and helpful. And it's like he's this big fan of Flynn Rider, but keeps like mistaking Eugene for the character that he named himself after. And it's just like he seems too nice, too perfect. I think it would be better if he was the bad guy rather than Cassandra, because then maybe have it to where this entire catastrophe was intentional, but that Finn and all of them interfering like caused it to be like messed up and it didn't go off as initially planned or something. That would be more interesting than having Cassandra actually be revealed to be the villain. That's just, it's too easy. It's too goddamn easy. Because they're like just throwing it in our faces that she can't be trusted and that she's kind of a terrible person from what we've seen. So I really hope that they actually do surprise us and instead make someone like Varian the bad guy. That would be better. Because if Cassandra actually is the villain here, I'm just going to be disappointed, you know? That's just going to be disappointing. So we had a lot more of Pascal in this episode than I think we had in the entirety of the movie. Like, comparatively, based on the runtimes and everything, Pascal was notable in this episode. Like, he wasn't like a main character, but he was there and consistently there pretty much the entire time. While in the movie, he kind of has a couple moments throughout, and then most of the other time, he's just like, he exists in the scenes and whatnot, but he's not really there, you know what I mean? Like, they tried to take, like, this small, very minute animal side character from the movie and try to actually make him into more of something in this, and it's just like, eh. Maximus honestly had less of a role in this episode, which was insane. Because Maximus actually had more of a role in the movie. We go to the bar. We see some familiar faces from the movie. I don't know if they're voiced by the same actors. Unfortunately, Hookhand isn't there. He was probably the most interesting of them, but apparently he's on a world tour as a concert pianist now, which was always his goal. So hey, fair enough. Apparently he has a family member though, Hook Leg. Was it brother or was it cousin or something? Either way. So that's a thing. I don't know why we just found out about that now. Just some random new sibling brought in or whatnot. But we also see like the big dude who like made the unicorns kiss and everything. We saw the old man who was constantly drunk and everything. He was sleeping there. The big nose dude is in love with his girlfriend and all. Characters we know. And that was pretty much the episode. Like, there's not really much else to it. Like, Varian was trying to help Rapunzel find out why her hair was back and all, but the results got, like, crushed and everything. So that never even came of anything, but yeah, the healing powers are gone, but there's new powers now. It's setup. There's a lot of setup with this. Some would say almost too much because of, again, trying to throw it in our faces that we can't trust Cassandra. It's like, I don't know. There's some, again, there's aspects about this that I liked that were entertaining. The art and animation was great. The voice acting, obviously being the same VAs, was really good. VAs like Clancy Brown being in this are really good. Um, I liked the feel of it, if that makes sense. Like it felt like it was following up the movie. It didn't feel out of place and everything. It was a little quick at times, but that was more the pacing than anything. I feel like they could have slowed it down a little bit. Um, but yeah, like overall, it still felt like a follow up to Tangled. It didn't feel like too weird and random or anything, so that's good. But there were those few things that just did bother me a little bit, that weren't perfect and messed things up a little. Plus, just my own feelings towards Rapunzel's hair being back and all. So it's definitely going to be one of those that is going to take a little more to convince me. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm not against the idea of it. The first episode isn't anything amazing. I'll say that for sure. It's nothing like fantastic, and it doesn't really hook me in that much. It's just it's just good, just vaguely good. But we will see in the future at some point how the series progresses from there. Don't know when I'm going to get to this yet, but like I said, we'll figure out the order for going through things in the future, and when slots open up and stuff, we'll get to more stuff. So, yeah, in the meantime, tell me in the comments below, what did you think of this first episode of Tangled, the series? And let me know your thoughts on the hair thing, especially. But obviously, no spoilers. I do not want spoilers, so please keep those away. Because obviously I am continuing this, like I'm continuing everything for this week. In the meantime, though, thank you all so much for tuning in. And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.